So you wrote a Matric, you've got your grade 12 certificate, but now unfortunately things didn't go well. You are sitting at home, you are not sure what to do, and perhaps you are a parent raising a child that is affected by being a Matric leaver, but now they are not sure what to do. They are sitting at home. After Bapase, people were cheering them up. People, they got a lot of congratulations. Hey, but now ki July, they are still sitting at home. In this video, that's something that I would like to talk about today. How do we help our children from their current state of they are scrolling on the phone all the time to something important, maybe perhaps they can contribute to the world, they can contribute to creating value so that eventually they become what I call paid person of value or paid people of value. Yes, there is a gap that nobody talks about, and that is the gap today, and how can we help them to cross that gap, right? So yes, Matric is not a finish line, but it is a starting block. This is where immediately after grade 12 banal certificate, that is where now the real world starts. So it's not a finish line, but it is a starting block. So this gap is real. I want to talk about this thing here, gap. Sometimes they are forced to take into a gap here because now they are sitting at home, they are not sure what to do, they are not sure what steps because nobody is guiding them. So now they wait. The problem is now this gap forces them to wait. They wait for somebody to call, they wait for someone, they wait for some kind of an opportunity, but unfortunately it's quiet, it's silence most of the time. So this waiting is something I get that 2-3 years and they are waiting for someone to find them, they are waiting to be selected, they are waiting for someone to come and say, hey Baba, I might have something for you, come. But now another thing is they are waiting to be chosen, because now they sit, they wait to be selected, because that's exactly what they were taught. They were taught to wait and then be selected, or maybe be chosen to do something else, but they were never taught to do things on their own. Yes, the system trained them to be selected, but unfortunately the real world rewards those who show up. So now the question is, are they going to show up, or are they going to keep on waiting? Yes, hundreds of thousands of South Africans are home right now. They've got a certificate in hand, they've got abundance of talent, but that is not laziness. Sometimes we think they are lazy, and also sometimes we think they are failures, but I can tell you they are not lazy, they are not failures, but they were just never handed a map. This is something that I want to talk about today in this video. So yes, Matric teaches them to pass exams. It does not teach them the 4 things that I want to mention now. These are the things that are very, very important. The first one is who they are. The school does not focus because they've got curriculum to follow. The subjects, got your maths, your science, your history, your geography, economics. There's a lot of subjects tailoring. The school has got a curriculum that they're supposed to follow. But now this thing affects the whole in the area their identity, who they really are. What do they stand for? What's their values? What are their values? What are their strengths? They usually don't know their strengths. They usually don't know their values. Unfortunately, they were never taught the skills the real world actually pays for. Yes, and then how to create value. They were never taught how to create value, how to add value before they can even think of having a job. Now, the 4th one is how to represent themselves. They were never taught how to package themselves well enough, their character, how to package themselves so that people want to pay for their services or their product, or whatever the value that they provide in the world. So yes, this is something that I want you to think about, Mtswadi, because Matric certificate is a qualification, but it is not a plan. Yes, and a certificate without a plan is just a paper. A certificate remains a paper if it doesn't if it's not accompanied or if it's not being supported by a plan. So this is something that we also want to check, that I want you to think about as well. Yes, the world pays for value, not certificates. So, and the world does not pay you for what you know, it pays you for what you do, for what you can do with what you know. Let me repeat this thing so that it shall say handle. The world does not pay for what you know, but it pays for what you can do with what you know. And there are 4 things that are very, very important that I also shared earlier on. Firstly is create value. The world pays for people who create value. The world pays for people who solve real problems. The world pays for people who show up, people who don't wait, but people who show up. And then here's another one. This one, at least most of them, I know this one, they are very good at. That is communicating clearly. But this is something that we have to encourage them to go and do all the time. Communicating clearly. So you are not looking for a job. You are building a case for why somebody should pay you. So in other words, you are not just looking for a job, but you are building a case. You give people enough reasons to pay you, or you give people enough reasons to say why they should hire you, or why they should give you a job. So now the core idea here, Mutsaduwaga, is that I keep on talking about paid person of value, but perhaps you are asking yourself right now, what is a paid person of value? So yes, in short, a paid person of value is someone who has identified their strength, who has built a real market ready skills and learn to package and deliver them in a way that people are willing and are gladly pay for. So it's not a complicated thing, and it's also not automatic, because it requires a process, it requires clarity, it requires someone to work you through it. So they need somebody to help them, to bridge that gap that I spoke about, from school to becoming a paid person of value. There's a gap there. If down to cross that gap, they remain on the side of having a certificate, not knowing what to do with the certificate. Especially those who are not fortunate enough but tola access how can a university or any type of higher education or tertiary education. All right. So yes, that guided process that I spoke about is what we offer here at Lightfruit Academy. We call this program Student Success Accelerator Programme, because it has got 5 pillars which I'll touch on right now. Those 5 pillars are: the first one is identity, that is now who they are. Number 2, personal development. In this area we cover a lot of their emotional intelligence, their mindset. We look at those things. And then skills development, that is pillar number 3. Pillar number 4 is value creation. That is now what can they prove, what can they prove? And then in income generation is what will be the next step. So there are 5 pillars. There are 5 pillars from Matric to a paid person of value. Most young people skip all 5 and jump straight to how do I get a job, with no foundation. All right. So yes, we need to lay the foundation first. This is the reason why I use this book here, The Path to Light, which is my book. I use this book to lay the good foundation. This is the reason why I call it The Path to Light, and 10 transformational principles for success, joy, and inner peace. Yes. So if you want a copy, just let me know. You can just comment copy, then I'll make sure that you get your copy. Part 1 is the foundation. Foundation is identity. This is now, before you can identify anything, or before you can build anything, you must first know who's building that thing. Under identity, we look at their values, we look at the things that they are good at, we look at what makes them come alive. So the truth is, you cannot build a career on somebody else's idea, but you must first start with who you are actually understanding yourself, that understanding of yourself, your strength, the things that you are good at naturally, and what makes you come alive. All right. So personal development will be is now your internal work. That's now pillar number 2. Yes, skills won't carry you far if the person holding them is not ready. You may have the skills, but if you are not ready as a person, either to share the skills, or if you don't trust yourself enough, or if you don't have enough confidence. Now, in this case, we are talking about discipline, we are talking about mindset, we are talking about emotional intelligence, managing themselves, and also being able to read others, and then also being able to sort of control how they feel. We're talking about their attitude against the past, the present, and the future. So how do they feel about the past? How do they feel about the future? How do they feel about the present? The world will pay for your skills, but it only sustains that payment if your character can hold the weight. You have to be able to hold the weight, right? So skill number 3. Pillar number 3 is skills development. Now, in this case, we talk about communication, getting your value across clearly, digital and practical skills, capabilities in the marketplace, because capabilities the market is buying now. The market is now, if you've got digital skills, you stand a better chance than somebody who doesn't. We live in the world with AI now. We live in the world with so many tools that you can use to make sure that you save time, but you still produce good results, right? So problem solving is one of those also that are very, very important in terms of skills development. So that is now skills. And now what is more important also to think about is now skills without identity are tools with no one holding them. So skills without identity are tools with no one holding them. But skills with both identity and character, that is where the power is. So we want to help them to build skills at the same time. We want them to be able to build a character and identity, and that is where the power. If you combine the three, then that is where the power is. And then let's move to pillar number 4, which is now one of my favorite topic, that is value creation. So now value creation is now solving real problems, right? This is the pillar that most young people are not aware of. When I work with most of the young people, I realize that every time I work with them, somehow I realize that they are not even aware about this thing, value creation. Yes, so solving real problems. Sometimes you can even start for free at first. Building a portfolio, the things that you do, this is now what is going to prove what you can actually do in the marketplace. Even if you get a job, even if you get an interview, chances are they are going to ask you a question related to what can you do, what can you offer, if you have a proof. So if you have a portfolio, you can be able to show them the stuff that you have done already, not only the knowledge but the implementation of that knowledge, maybe, because we live in the world with the social media. Sometimes when you even apply for a job, if they're interested, they may even look for you on social media, whether on LinkedIn or Facebook or any other platform. But they usually do the research, and then the stuff that you post there. Hence, I always tell the young people to say you must be careful on what you post on social media, because sometimes it may come back and bite you, right? So yes, show, don't tell. I usually tell them show, don't tell, because people believe more when something is being demonstrated. So demonstrate value before a salary can appear. Before you can get a salary, somehow they might need you to demonstrate that you can do the job, right? So yes, one thing that I want to mention here, which is very important, is the young people winning today didn't wait to be given an opportunity, but they created one. So I want us to help our children to be able to create opportunities, to be able to create value by themselves, right? Pillar number 5, which is income generation. Most young people, they want to jump straight to this one before they lay the foundation, right? So yes, and only now does income become natural result, right? The natural result. Employment, to enter the market with real leverage. So now you've got all the resources and tools that you need. With this one, from everything that we've covered, you have now just increased your chances of getting employed. So your employability index has went up if you've got all the things that I mentioned, all the pillars that I mentioned earlier on, pillar 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we are on pillar number 5 now. Freelance, sell your skills directly. You can sell your skills directly to the people who actually need them, because the market, remember, the market does not care. The marketplace does not care. It only requires value. If you can be able to give something good, people will always be willing to get you. Will always be willing to reward you for that. Right? So business, building something sustainable for your own. Sometimes income generation can come from you building your own business. So income is not the goal. Income is the result. So build a person first, then the money follows value. I always tell my students that income will always follow value. So you must focus first on building value, creating value, and then you'll get rewarded for that. It's by law. By law, if you do something good, somebody eventually you'll get rewarded. So let's, instead of spending time consuming, let them they would rather spend time, they would rather spend time creating value, right? Instead of always consuming, but let them start creating value as well. And yes, the reason why this thing matters so much to me, I grew up in Sharpeville. I was surrounded by potential, real gifts, real intelligence, real drive, and I watched that potential get swallowed by the gap that I mentioned. Not because they weren't good enough, but because no one showed them the path. No one gave them the tools and the resources they needed, or believed in them loud enough or long enough or for long enough. So yes, the talent is there, the desire is there. What is missing is the framework and the guidance. So yes, you are not behind, you are at the beginning of a journey you will never be given a map for until now. So this is exactly what is affecting our children. They are not behind, but also they are at the beginning of the journey that they were never given a map for. So it's like you are being placed in a place where you're supposed to start your journey, but you don't have a map, you don't know which direction to go, right? Yes. Imagine if you're just being in a place where you are not familiar with anything, and then you are expected to perform without a map, without the resources, without the tools, without the guidance, without even anybody helping you. So I think that will be, even me as an adult, I will find that difficult to sort of navigate and succeed in those type of conditions. So our children are also experiencing similar things right now, right? So let me tell you a little bit about the Student Success Accelerator Program. It is a structured hands-on workshop for the post-matric and unemployed youth aged 19 to 29. So we do this through coaching and accountability. So we work through all the 5 pillars, and they're hands-on. We provide them with a clarity of identity, a growth foundation, market-ready skills, value strategy, and a path to income. So yes, this is something that is strategically built for the unemployed youth, those who are trying to figure out what is it that they can do next, or those who are stuck at home. I'll be running a workshop every Thursday at 7 o'clock. So there will be a link in the description for you to just register so that you can join me on that workshop, where I'll be taking you through all these things just to make it easy for our children, so that they know at least there are things that they can start doing rather than just sitting at home not knowing what to do. Right now, in the upcoming workshop, which I call From Sitting at Home to Standing on Your Own. So this is exactly what I want you to do. You can register. There's a link in the description where you will get an opportunity to ask me any question directly. And please pass it on, tell other parents, because the gap doesn't close by itself, but it closes because you decide to cross it, right? So that's what I want you to do, Mtswadi Waka, and you, the young person who's listening to this, make the decision today, not tomorrow. Like I always say, light is calling, but the question is, will you answer? Let me see you on another program, let me see you in the workshop, or let me see you on another video. With all that being said, like I always say here, it's a hot, so bye-bye for now.